So we're talking about Leo Trossard on the right, obviously being deployed there. How do you think that went then, Jordan?
Not good. Not good. I think, because as Darren says, I think he's an impact player. He's someone actually, for a couple of years before we signed him, I was very of the mindset a top 4 club should get him as a squad player. I thought he was good enough to be a contributor at a Man City, at a Liverpool, then at a Chelsea, at an Arsenal. So when we got him, I was really happy about that. But as Darren says, I think he's playing too many minutes. And if you're then being relied and expected to kind of deliver when you start games, when really your best work is done off the bench, it then puts more pressure on you and then your performances go backwards. I think he's been really, really poor, really bad, to the point where big parts of games go by and I forget he's on the pitch. But I don't entirely blame him for that. I think it goes back to your point about recruitment. If we had the requisite attacking personnel to rotate and to rest, then he wouldn't be required to play 3 games in a row or 2 games in a row and start games and play the minutes that I think are beyond him. So he's not been good, and I'm worried about him, but I don't entirely put that on him. I think it goes back to the tools that we've got just aren't enough at the moment to compete on 4 fronts over 9 months.
So then we'll move on to our defence. Our ever reliable defence failed to deal with a pretty routine long ball on the first goal. Clive.
Oh, thank you, Talia.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, well, I had a good view of that one from my seat. And yeah, just golden rules are broken there, right? Darren knows what I'm going to say. First contact, don't get that, you get the second.
Yeah.
And you don't allow 3, and we allowed 3 back in the net. And we weren't strong enough in either challenge. And that goal really surprised me. And there's not a debate here. Amongst the Arsenal world, we all feel we'd like another forward. Shall we say, just air quotes, forward? We all know that. We all felt a little bit like we were gambling. The gamble has failed. The two best forwards on the right-hand side have had indifferent health and fitness issues. So now we're exposed. So we all agree with that. We can decide who we want to blame. That's a personal choice, but we all agree with that. We would like a bit more firepower. But if you're watching that game closely, I think we're unsettled defensively. I don't think our defenders had the best game in the critical moments. They recovered, and towards the end of the game when Newcastle dropped away, it disappeared from our mindset, and all we did was focus on the chances that we missed, but our defending was quite indifferent. The goalkeeper had some early passes out that were a little bit shaky. We were running challenges by Gordon, ran us back a couple of times, and his movement was interesting. And that, again, give Newcastle credit. They're a good side, particularly those 2 players, and they unsettled us a little bit. And so, yeah, we didn't do our basic job on either of the goals. We allowed too much space on the second goal. We weren't alive for the follow-up, and we didn't win our first ball challenges. And that's not like Arsenal. But I will say Newcastle are, like us, land of the giants. 6'5" Botman won that first challenge against, I think, 18-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think it was. I'm not sure, Darren, you know your memory's like better than mine. But he won it, that's all I knew, right? And then we got pushed around in the box and they scored a deserved goal.
You were talking also about Martin Odegaard earlier. He's not looking too right at the moment, is he?
I think that what happened with him was the first 2 games, I think it was Chelsea, and after his injury, the first 2 games he came back, he was on fire. He played really, really well. I was surprised that he lasted the 90 minutes. He was everywhere, but that was adrenaline. And again, Darren can speak to this probably better than we can. I imagine when you come back from an injury, you're at it, but that wears off after a while, and you kind of revert back to the mean. And we're seeing now in the last 3 or 4 games that either he's not fully fit, or he just needs more match minutes to get back to the level. And when you factor in, again, as Darren and Clive have said, that his mate on the right's not there, up top 1 minute it's Havertz, then it's Jesus, then it's somebody else, and it's no one. Factor that in as well. Plus, Declan Rice, I think, is not fit as well. I think he's carrying an injury as well. Everything around him also isn't working. That's going to drag your performances down as well. So I think it's actually quite easy to see and work out why he's not performing well. I don't think he's fully fit yet, but also all the components around him also are either, again, as Clive said, either not well or out of form.
Do you know that's a big issue that you said there, Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I think
He's
because
not fit.
he's not fit, but also as well, he's not brave at the minute. And what I mean by brave is you look at some of the best holding midfield players, number 8s in the league, they see that pass. So Odegaard is that almost that 10 that likes to just drop in behind their holding midfield player, but you need someone who's going to play that pass. Because if you give it to him early while they're retreating, that's how he gets on the half turn and that's how Arsenal get out. Declan Rice is seeing the pass and for whatever reason doesn't want to do it. Now I get it because Arsenal maybe are in this kind of sticky patch, he doesn't want to give it away. but we need him to be that pivot to go, where's Odegaard? That should be his part. Every single time he gets the ball, his pass should be, where's Odegaard? Oh, there he is, I'll give it to him early. The fact he's taking 2-3 passes, or he's going sideways and backwards, that's allowing the other teams to get back into position, and that's closing off his space.
I agree with what Darren says, 100%. I just add a little layer on top of that, because there was a period in the game when it was going a little bit wrong, and I'm looking around for hope. I'm dying, right? We're losing our home game. And Declan Rice decided to just go. And he started to carry and drive. And it's not the one-touch passing that we may need to go into a block before it becomes a block. We need it quicker and sharper, but he started to go. And I looked at it and thought, you know what? I judge people in adversity. Who's stepping up now? We're 2-0 down in a cup game. They've got 6,000 fans behind the goal, having the time of their lives, and we're in a bit of trouble. Who's going to step out of the structure, step out of the system, and try to help us and push us forward? And I thought Rice did that. Whether it's within our model, Darren, or what we need to see sometimes to make sure we pass it forward more quickly and more directly before teams are settled, I'm not sure we're getting all of that. But I thought he really pushed us forward towards the end of that game. Maybe that's where Newcastle dropped away, but that's how it looked to me from the stand.
So then, Darren, you mentioned earlier about Martinelli's miss. But Matthew, I want to ask you then, where do you stand on him at the moment?
With Gabriel Martinelli, I think that he's been programmed into someone that he was never meant to be. I think that when he first came to Arsenal, he was this raw, skinny Brazilian that no one knew much about, and he was just having fun. Gary Neville said it before about Amad Diallo, you need someone that's playing football like they're playing in a playground, and that was what Gabriel Martinelli once was. And over the years, he's slowly been, like I said, programmed into a robot that hugs the touchline and is told to cut it back or pass it back. He's lost that playground type style of play where he's not got the confidence to take his man on anymore, and he's not got the confidence to have fun anymore. And I think that Martinelli is the definition of a confidence player. When he's confident, he's superb. He's scary for defenders. When he's not, we might as well be playing with 10 men. It's sad to see what's going on with him because he is talented, but he's got no confidence. And I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I've been really disappointed with Martinelli this season, and the fan base, I think, have been very kind to him this year. I'm lucky enough to be on lots of different Arsenal podcasts and content platforms, and I hear people praising performances that I'm just like, we're watching two different games. I genuinely need more from him. And all of what you're saying, I think, could be true. But this isn't a run of poor form now from him. This is now nearly 18 months. And again, I accept there was a period last year where he was injured for a large part of that. But when you see where him and Saka were 2.5, 3 years ago to where, all right, Saka might be a freak, so maybe it's not fair to compare, but he's almost gone backwards. I don't see him taking anybody on. I don't see him getting shots off quick. All the things that we saw in his early years of joy, just running at people, getting shots off, bumbling through. I called him Mini Suarez. He had that thing where he bumbled through defenders somehow.
Both shins and somehow
through. Where's that? So I'm really upset with how he's declines may be harsh, but he's definitely plateaued. I think we need more from him.
2 years ago, he was incredible. Was it 2 years ago where he hit the 15 goals?
Yeah.
Everything he hit, I remember him scoring against Liverpool quite early, but he just looked like he had that confidence, that dynamism to get forward and run beyond his man. But I know injuries play their parts, but I thought he'd be a consistent. At one point, I thought Saka was on the right, he was on the left. That was his position, and it was who plays down the middle. And at the minute, you almost find a position for him when other players are not playing well. And I mean, how much is Arsenal buying for? £6 million? Yeah. I still think that's an unbelievable bit of business for what he's given Arsenal, but I expect him to kick on now. I think this is the time where he's not a young kid where you're thinking, oh, he's got to improve. I think he's got to get to that level now where he's consistent and you know what you're getting from him.
Look, I understand, obviously, as footballers, we're all human beings at the end of the day, and we all lack confidence in some aspects. But it's so annoying that we're constantly bringing up the confidence question and the confidence conversation more than I find we should be.
I'm not sure if it's confidence. I don't know if it's... I think it's a combination.
I'm talking about a few players at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, across the team, I think there's a inability to deal with pressure, and that might sound super harsh, but I think we've shown over the last few years when it really, really counts. I don't see enough players dealing with pressure. I think it's a competence issue. I think we've got players in certain areas that just aren't good enough, especially in the squad. I'm really upset with people that are coming in and haven't contributed off the bench. When your Saka's not there, when your Odegaard's not there, apart from Ranieri, the squad players for me haven't stepped up. So I'm not sure it's necessarily just about confidence. I think it's a picture of competence and a lack of seizing an opportunity whereby we should be, if not top, a lot closer to Liverpool than we probably should be. We're on the verge of getting out of the Cup. We'll get to United in a minute, I'm sure. But if that goes left, this season could really unravel very quickly and very sadly. So I think it's a combination of different things beyond just confidence.